Hello, my name is Ganesh Ramcharan and I will be going over homework 4 for Internet and Web. So first what we want to do is open up XAMPP. I already have it open here, but for Mac, what you could do when you install it, Launchpad, press on this, Manager OS X, and then you put in your password and it'll bring you to the screen. Then you'll go to Manage Servers and you would start the MySQL database and the Apache web server. Um, I only had to do that for the last three questions. So for homework 4, 5, and 6 is when I really needed XAMPP for because we were using PHP. But besides that, homework questions 1, 2, and 3 were all regular HTML document types. So for question 1, it was write a script that inputs a line of text, tokenize it with string method split, and output the token in reverse order. Um, so what we did, doc type HTML head. I named the title homework 4 question 1. I gave it a heading 1 and called it reverse tokenizer. I made a form which said label 4 equals input, and it said enter a line of text. Then I put input type equals text, ID equals input, name equals input, and then I had a button type equals button on click, which is set to the reverse token function, and I just named the button reverse token, and I ended the form there. Then I had div ID equals reverse, and then onto script type equals text dash JavaScript, and this is where I did the function reverse token. It gets the input, so var input equals document.get element by ID input. I tokenize the input text, var tokens equals input.split. I reverse the token by naming another variable, var reverse tokens equals tokens dot reverse. Var output HTML equals double quotes, and then for var I equals 0, I is less than reverse tokens dot length, I plus plus output plus equals the reverse token I plus double quotes, and then I get out the for loop. I get out the second. I get out the for loop, and then to end the function, I had document.get element by ID parentheses double quote reverse dot enter HTML equals output HTML. So this is how the first question looks. So if we enter a line of text, so let's say one piece, and then we click on the reverse token, it spells it out backwards. So one piece is just backward, ECEIPENO, just like that. And now on to question 2. Write a script that inputs several lines of text and uses string method index of to determine the total number of occurrences of each letter of the alphabet in the text. Uppercase and lowercase letters should be counted together. Store the totals for each letter in an array and print the values in tabular format in an HTML5 text area after the totals have been determined. So doc type HTML, head, title, homework 4, question 2. In the body, header 1, alphabet occurrence center. Then I did label 4 equals input, enter some text, end the label, break. So we go to the next line. Text area ID equals input. I made the input have a length of 5 rows. Button type equals button. On click equals the function count occurrences, and the button is named count occurrences. And then the text area ID equals output. I gave it a length of 27 rows and columns of a length of 60. Then the script type equals JavaScript function count occurrences, and then to get the text, var input equals document dot get element by ID input. Then to initialize the array of counts to all zeros. var counts equals array 26 dot fill 0. So 26 is the number of alphabets, and we're just filling all of them up with 0 right now. So then we're gonna loop each character in the text for var I equals 0. I is less than input dot length I plus plus, and then var C equals input dot char at I, and then if I dash square brackets A dash Z to A dash Z, so it'll pick up the letters between the lowercase a and z and uppercase a to z dot test c, and then we convert the character to a lowercase and get index in the ABCs from 0 to 25. So var index equals c to lowercase, converting everything to lowercase, and we're getting the char codes from 0 to 97. And then we increment the count for each letter, counts index I plus plus, and then var output HTML plus equals to letter count. For var I equals 0, I is less than 26, I plus plus. Then var letter equals string from the char code I plus 97. Var count equals counts, square brackets I. Output HTML plus equals letter plus count. Document dot get element by ID output dot value equals output HTML, and then we end the script. So that will look like this. As I said, we gave the enter some text. We gave this a size of row 5. We gave this a row of 27 and a size of column 60. So enter some text. SUNY Old West Berry, and then it'll count how many times it occurs. Or best bet, let's do so it doesn't matter whether it's in capital or lowercase, to all get transferred. So you can say like A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P Q R S T U V, and then so as you can see, it doesn't matter whether it's uppercase or lowercase. It'll print out whatever letters occurred. So in here, A to Z printed out there was 2 occurrences of those letters. And now on to question 3. Printing dates. There are several common format dates, and then we write a script that reads the date and create a date object in which it stores it, and then use the various methods to convert the dates into strings. So doc type HTML, title homework 4 question 3. In the body, we have a header 1 different date format with the form label 4 equals date, enter the date, input type equals text, ID equals date, name equals date, and the button type, we have a button on click and a button. The button type is a button. On click equals the function format date, and the button is named format date. And then we break it, so we'll go to the next line. Div ID equals output, and then script type JavaScript, and then the function format date. So this gets the date string from the form. So var input date equals document.get element by ID date dot value. Create a date object from the date string. Var date equals new date input date, and then just formatting the date in different forms, different ways. So var output HTML equals double quotes output HTML plus equal strong, which will just put it in bold, full date plus date to string, plus we're just breaking it, so we'll go to the next line. Then the next one is output HTML UTC date, and it'll be the date dot to UTC string. Then the local date, it's the same thing, dot to local date string. And then the local time, dot to local time string, and ISO date to the ISO string, the method. And then to display formatted date, document dot get elements by ID, output dot inner HTML equals output HTML. So we'll put in, I was just testing it, so let's put in today's date, 5-11-2023. As you can see, so the full date, it says Thursday, May 11th, 2023, GMT Eastern Daylight Time, UTC date, Thursday, 11 May 2023, 4 GMT, local date, 5-11-2023, local time, 12 a.m., ISO date, 2023-05-11, and whatever that is. So that's it for question 3. So now on to question 4, the PHP. So write a PHP script named states that creates a variable state with the value Mississippi, Alabama, Texas, Massachusetts, and Kansas. The script should perform the following tasks: search for a word in states that end in XAS, store the word in element 0 of an array named states array, search for a word in states that begin with K and ends in S, perform a case sensitive insensitive comparison, store this word in element 1 of states array, search for a word in states that begin with M and ends in S, store this element in element 2 of the word of the array, search for a word in states that ends in A, store this word in element 3 of the array, search for a word in states at the beginning of the string that starts with M, store this word in element 4 of the array, output the array states array to the screen. So, doc type HTML, title head, and then here it's kind of different, so it's the less than sign question mark PHP, which will invoke PHP. So create variable states with the value Mississippi, Alabama, Texas, Massachusetts, and Kansas. So it's $states equal Mississippi, Alabama, Texas, Massachusetts, and Kansas. Then we create an array. So $states array equals array. Search for a word in the states that end in XAS. Store this word in element 0. So if preg underscore match, the XAS states matches, so states array value 0 will equals to matches 0, and we basically do the same for the rest of them. So like in this one, the first array, well, number array 1 will have the word of the states that begin with K and ends with S. And then we just print it out. So in here, so array, these are the arrays. So the first part of the array, what was the state was XAS, that was Texas. Then the second one is find an array that begins with K. So how we do that was the square brackets, K and K for lowercase and uppercase, and that ends with S. And then we do the question mark S. So this will perform it from K all the way to S. Then we add Kansas. Then what starts with M and ends with S. That was Massachusetts. That ends in A. That was Alabama. And then a string that starts with M, and that was Mississippi. So that was homework for question 4. On to number 5. Write a PHP script that verifies if an email is inputted and valid or not. So what we did, doc type HTML, title, homework 4, question 5. Header 1, email validation, form method equals post, action equals validate, underscore email.php, label for email, enter your email, input type email, ID equals email, name equals email, button type equals submit, and the button is named check email. This was just me testing stuff out. I don't really need that. So from here, we invoke the PHP and define a sample email address for testing. So $email equals example at email.com, and then use the filter var function. Was filter validate email filter to check if an email is valid or not. So filter var underscore var email filter validate email. It'll say echo the email address is valid, else it would say it is not valid. So as we can see here, I was just testing porcus underscore d.ace@gmail.com is a valid address. If we just put in ace, it will say ace is not a valid email address. If we say ace at yahoo.com, it'll say ace at yahoo.com is a valid email address. If we just do ace at is not a valid email address. And now on to the last and final question. Okay, write a PHP script that obtains a URL and its description from users, store the information to a database. So basically, we have h1, URL database, form method, post, action, PHP echo, HTML special chars, server, PHP self, label for URL, enter a URL, label, input type equals text, label for description, enter a description, input type text, ID equals description, names equals description. Then we break it, button type equals submit, the button is named submit, and then we start the PHP. So to establish a connection to the database, the server name equals localhost, username equals username, password equals password, database name is called URL. Con equals new MySQL server name, username, password, DBNM name. Check the connection. If it did not connect, it would say connection failed. If the form has been submitted, server request method equals the post. We get the URL and description from the form by this code here. Get a SQL statement to insert the data into the database. So SQL equals insert into the URL table, the URL we put in, and the description and the values, URL and descriptions. Then to execute the SQL statements, if con query equals true, new record created successfully, else error, and then we print the contents of the database in the table. So it would look like this, and yeah, it went through. Localhost. And yeah.